The age of European exploration. I'm just going to take you through here and review a little bit about what we talked about in class. So, European exploration before the 15th century, we said could be summarized pretty easily. It wasn't very much. They didn't know what was out there. You looked at maps from 1280, and yeah, I mean, they were very, very lost as to what was really outside Europe, much less across the Atlantic. So why sail? Why now? What's magical about this time? What forces come together to allow this to happen? Well, chiefly you've got the crusade, and again, it's going to be the Muslims driven out of the Holy Land, and this should be a just reminder for you. You should be able to pull on all this stuff that you know because we've talked about it so far in just about every unit. They've created these new technologies, especially for navigation. They have preserved the learning of the Greeks and Romans from their encounter with the eastern part of the Roman Empire. They move into North Africa, the Mediterranean. They come in contact with places like Italy, which is why Italy is going to really get into the Renaissance first, largely. So as they spread out, they're gonna bring this desire to go east, and we talked about the middlemen. So as these countries like Italy are moving east to try to get these treasures and goods, silks and spices and everything, they're going to meet middlemen on the way, and it's going to be like a toll road where they're going to have to pay money, and they're going to lose more and more of their profit that they could be earning if they found another way. We said that Renaissance equaled rebirth. So you've got the Crusades are one reason why people sailed at this point in time. You've got the Renaissance, which was a change in people's ideas, a change in people's thinking. And then you've got this middle class that's created. They've got a lot of time for cultural pursuits and for learning and acquiring knowledge. And this middle class is not going to be made up of farmers, and they're not going to be made up of kings. They're going to be made up of merchants and people that are going to make their money not by actually producing something in some cases, but by buying goods and then turning around and selling those for some kind of a profit. Okay. Also, you've got some technologies that allow navigation to be performed much more easily, and ships to be more protected on their voyages. Some of those things like the stem post rudder, which is going to allow the ship to actually be piloted more effectively. Lateen sails, you don't have to just drop sail and wait for the wind to go your direction. You can actually maneuver the sails to catch the wind. The astrolabe from the Middle East, the compass, the caravel, the small, lightweight, quick ship, the sextant, and then gunpowder. So, I mean, really, the inventions or the innovations that helped lead to exploration can be summarized as navigation technology and protection. All right. Some of the economic goals that they had, the Middle East was greedy about their trade routes, and why wouldn't you be? If you've got something good going for you, you want to hold on to that as long as you possibly can. And they are not wanting to open up any kind of extensive trade without some kind of method to capture money as they go along. That's why they have those middlemen along the road, so that somebody from Europe has to shell out a pretty penny to get over there to get what they want. And so, of course, you're going to want to find a way where you can avoid those middlemen. And the newly wealthy, it's kind of a needy baby, greedy baby type situation here. The newly wealthy, they want more and more and more and more and more. And a desire for material goods, greed, it's a very violent and destructive force, but it can also be something that propels you to design and to innovate. If somebody is really greedy and really wanting something, they are going to devote a lot of time to figuring out how to get it. And so those two things together are going to be a couple of economic reasons why Europe is going to explore. All right, political goals. We're going to see a loss in city-state leader power. We're going to see countries organized under strong leaders, and we're going to see these nation states start to develop, and they are going to pursue fame and glory and wealth. And then some other factors, just the whole Renaissance ideology, this idea that knowledge and acquiring, not only knowledge but money and wealth is something to be valued, and your ingenuity should be rewarded with money. All right, Asian technology from the Mongols. We're going to get things like the compass and gunpowder. Marco Polo stories. He comes back and he brings us these extravagant stories of all the riches and splendor of the East, and he's going to bring back wonderful things like pizza. Thank you, Marco Polo. And people are going to just get this wanderlust in them. They're going to want to travel and see these wonderful lands. And merchants are going to want to travel and see this wonderful money that's to be made. You're going to see nation states start to rise. Again, we said city-states, they were just small collections of a ruler and his people organized around a city, and like Athens and Sparta. And nation states, that's going to be where several city-states are going to come together, and we're going to see nations rise up out of that, like in Italy. And then Dr. Teeth, of course, told us about one of the other chief factors, and that is money, 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 money. All right, now, the Iberian wave. In Iberia, which is chiefly Portugal and Spain, they are going to be the first really successful countries to explore what else is out there. So, why Spain and Portugal? Well, first of all, they've got contact with the Atlantic. England, it's an island, so of course it has contact. France, one of its coasts is on the Atlantic there, so they're going to have contact as well. But because Portugal and Spain are going to be the first to kind of voyage out, they're going to be the first to claim all this territory, all this sea territory, and they're going to protect it, because if you've got something good, just like the Middle Eastern traders, you want to protect it. You want to hold on to it. Okay. Also, Spain and Portugal have to go through France and Italy, and then further along the route to the east, and so it's difficult to make a substantial profit because of that. And then you've got people like the monarchy that encourage exploration. Prince Henry the Navigator, for example, he creates this maritime school. He pumps a lot of money into exploration. You got people like Diaz, sailors from Portugal, who are reaching the Cape of Good Hope in Africa in 1488. He charts the African coast. You can see his voyage here. Vasco da Gama sails around Africa to India in 1497 and returns with a 6,000% profit. So Columbus has the distinction of discovering a new world while trying to sail to India. Da Gama has the distinction of sailing to India around Africa and making a whole lot of money. So you can see his voyage here from Lisbon to Calcutta. Ferdinand Magellan, made famous by Dr. Scholes, was the first European to see the Pacific from the New World, and his ships actually made the first circumnavigation of the globe. They went all the way around. Now, he actually died in the Philippines, but his ships made it back to Portugal, so almost Magellan. And you can see his voyage here. In red is while he was still alive, and then blue is afterward. So, made it so close. All right, now, Portugal's going to control the waters around Iberia. So Spain is going to seek a route that is further west. So Portugal has that territory and that land that's hugging the coast from Africa all the way around into India. So Spain is going to try to get out around them and figure out a way to go that direction. Now, part of the reason that Spain was late to the game is something called the Reconquista. And the Reconquista was this 700-year crusade to rid Iberia of Islam. So it was their holy war. It was their crusade. And as a result, Moors, which were the African Muslims largely, and Jews were banished or killed. So this did not just affect Islam, but they went after Jews as well. So that is going to slow their entry into exploration. But the guy that is going to propel them into fame is Christopher Columbus. There's a lot of mysteries about Columbus. There are a lot of myths about Columbus, which we talked about in class. The flat earth myth, that everybody thought the world was flat, but not Columbus. I know the earth is round, and I shall prove it by sailing west and heading to India. Well, nobody really thought that the earth was flat. The Greeks in 500 BC, before Christ was born, had figured out the circumference of the earth, or at least knew that it was circumference, that it was round. So yeah, ships, they sailed over the horizon hole first, and everything told people that the earth was round. So yeah, that's a big myth. Columbus was wrong in the fact that he thought the earth was a lot smaller than it was. That's, when he reaches what he called the West Indies and named Hispaniola in the Caribbean there, his crew is about to the end of everything. Their supplies are gone, their morale is gone, and the reason he didn't pack more and bring more is because he miscalculated. He really believed that the earth was smaller than it actually was. So, for him, he thought, I've sailed about 3,000 miles. That sounds right. Here's India. So, that's the big problem there. The old kids rhyme, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I always like to add in, just because I'm sarcastic, a line that 1493, Columbus stole all he could see. We talked about how Columbus' views changed a little bit on the natives, how beautiful and handsome and well-mannered and polite and hard workers they were. And then once they start being exploited for gold and silver and labor and slaves, then it suddenly becomes that they're docile, they would make good slaves, they would make good servants, and the crew's attitude is going to change toward them as well. So, okay, we said that the Spanish came over and they had three goals. They had the three G's. They wanted gold, God, and glory, and probably in that order too. There were lots of stories about the New World where gold was just in abundance. You could stick a shovel in the ground and come up with gold. Cibola, if you watch National Treasure 2, the mythical city of gold that is apparently hidden behind Mount Rushmore. So this was a very real thing that people were looking for. Now, their warriors that they send over to claim this land are known as the conquistadores, the conquerors. And these guys were all business. Cortez, of course, is going to arrive in Mesoamerica. He's going to encounter the Aztec and Chief Montezuma. He's going to be welcomed into the city because they believed he's the plumed serpent god Quetzalcoatl, and courtesy of his superior weaponry and smallpox, he is going to subjugate the Aztec people very, very simply. And Pizarro is going to enter again in Mesoamerica, but he's going to head south into South America, and he's going to encounter what's left of the Inca. So Cortez is coming about 1519, Pizarro's coming a little bit later, and by the time Pizarro arrives, the smallpox that was kicked off by the Spanish arrival with Cortez has spread to the tribes throughout Mesoamerica, and so most of the Inca are actually wiped out by smallpox before Pizarro arrives. So they make a very easy conquest.